Dolphins fans, welcome to another rant, another furious rant from your boy Larry K. I'm pissed off. It's hard not to be pissed off, man. I told you guys, I told you all, the weekend we lost to Tennessee and Buffalo beat Kansas City, I sat here, I told all of you that Buffalo was going to win the AFC East. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want it to be true, but I know too much about football. I know too much about this team. I know too much about how things go down, how things wind up, and I know. And I told you, this was a show me season. And for a good portion of this season, even I got sucked in. I continuously get sucked in. There are good attributes to this team. Tua has had good performances. Hill has had a great season. Mostert has a great season. McDaniel has had a decent season. But when it comes down to it, in December, in January, these guys are not championship level performers. Tua is not a championship level performer. Maybe one day he will be. He is not right now. He cannot win the big game. Tyreek Hill, great flashy stats. I know he's hurt because he was way too relied on all year, but when it counts, just constantly dropping balls. Dropping balls at inopportune times. It's absolutely ridiculous. I have these ridiculous sirens behind me. It's pissing me off even more. So, look, you could say injuries all day. You could blame injuries all day. And we had a lot of injuries. Now my heart goes out to Andrew Van Ginkel and his family. My prayers go to Andrew Van Ginkel and his family. But I'm not blaming injuries for this, because most of the injuries that we thought would derail this team are on the defensive side of the ball. But the defense came up with 3 turnovers. The turnover ratio was 3-2, and our last turnover didn't even come till the end of the game. It was actually more like 5-2 if you count the turnovers on downs that we had against the Bills that the defense forced. So this defense, which is hobbled, without its top 2 pass rushers, without one of its top corners, goes out there and gets stop after stop and turnover after turnover. And I know some of those turnovers were opportune because Josh Allen was having a meltdown in the first half, but they still got them. The entire second half of this game, this vaunted offense put up, you know how many points? 0. 0 points for this offense. Let me tell you this. Mike McDaniel is really good at maximizing the skill set of a limited quarterback and a limited system that relies a lot on speed but undersized guys to make it work, and it relies on timing. It's not always just throwing to a spot or whatever else, but it does heavily rely on timing. And while McDaniel is great at covering up a limited quarterback, when shit hits the fan later in the season, and the playoffs are on the line, and division titles are on the line, and everybody's hopes and dreams as Dolphins fans are on the line, those limitations rear their head again. And I told you last week, I'm sick and tired of debating. I'm not debating anymore. But let me tell you what I told you last season. Because I told you this last season, I'm going to tell you again this season. I was right last season, I'll be right this season. Last season, Tua had concussions and will go as far as Tua stays healthy. So the narrative was, well, as long as Tua's healthy, we have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I told you that wasn't really totally true. I told you they would run it back anyway and we would wind up in the same space. That's exactly what happened. Now this year the narrative is going to be, and right now we all know that Tua threw an interception to end the game. We all know he was very underwhelming once again in the big moments. We all know Mike McDaniel was very underwhelming as usual in the big moments. We all know Tyreek Hill does not come through in the clutch. We all know that, right? But the narrative is still going to be, and in about a couple days, in a week after we lose next week to Kansas City, get a month in, the narrative is going to be, well, they were just really banged up on the defensive side of the ball. And, it really comes down to staying healthy on the defensive side of the ball because this offense is just amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's all NFL media hype talking points to sell tickets, to get viewers, to hype up the season. Next year we'll come out, we'll trot out. Remember, without Bradley Chubb, I don't know with Phillips when he's coming back. We'll light it up again in September and October offensively, and everybody will start talking about, here's Tua's apology letter. What are you going to say to Tua and apologize? Tua MVP, Tyreek Hill, 2,000 yards. Mike McDaniel, genius coach. They're healthy. They're really going to make a run this year. And then next December, at the same time, same place, same friggin' channel, same everything, I'm going to be sitting here telling you, well, guys, I'll give you the new excuse. Because we don't know what the excuse is yet. We're going to have another excuse next year. And another reason to run it back, 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 run it back. That's all we're going to do. Now, here's the truth. Here's the sad reality that I'm going to tell you. The sad reality. The sad reality. We can't not pay Tua. We can't fire this head coach. We can't tear it down and rebuild it. The team's too good to do that, so we're just going to have to ride out this mediocre team and hope that one year all the things break our way. Other teams have colossal injuries. We get really lucky with some calls and some crazy games, and we find some way to squeak it out and reach the AFC title game. I'm not even talking about Super Bowls anytime soon, anytime in my fathomable lifespan. But maybe we could reach the AFC title game if everything breaks right. But we're just going to run it back year after year after year after year. We're always going to be on the cusp of the postseason. We're always going to get in as a wild card and probably lose in the first round. That's just what this franchise is, because that's who we have coaching. That's who we have on the roster. And that's just the philosophy. That's the culture of this team. And there's really no way getting out of it. It sucks, but it's true. But again, the defense, as banged up as they are, and as much as, Fangio's maligned and this and that, we had some lucky breaks. Ramsey gets burned and Josh Allen overthrows it, etc. But Fangio calls just great pressures at the right times on some of those calls. Josh Allen was relatively contained for a lot of the game, except at the end when you needed him to put you on his back and carry the team, something that our quarterback can't do and has not done ever, unless it's in early September against Baltimore, some nonsense. The defense, persevered. The defense gave us every opportunity to win that game, and we lost. And we lost in front of an invasion of Buffalo fans. That absolute homer, Mike Tirico, just disgustingly a homer. Like, get a room already, Tirico. And then, Collinsworth wasn't much better. Just terrible with more injuries and just another failed season. This was a show me season. The Dolphins have shown me that they are frauds, and nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed. I told you last year we're going to run it back. We had excuses to his concussions. This year we're going to run it back. The excuses, the injuries. Even though Waddle was hurt. I get it. Waddle was hurt. But how about our offensive line? We got Teron Armstead back. Okay? We have Austin Jackson. We got Robert Hunt back. So 3 out of the 5 starting offensive linemen were playing today. And by the way, Eichenberg has been pretty good. He's basically been our starter for a while and a lot of the season. And the offensive line wasn't the problem. So you could talk about injuries all you want. And trust me, in a day, in 2 weeks, in a month, it'll be, those injuries, if they just stay healthy. And all the fan base will be, if they just stay healthy, if we just stay healthy. I'm telling you now, it's nonsense. This team needs to greatly improve coaching, quarterback, etc. I'm not saying fire them, but they got to get exponentially better or they're never going to get to the promised land. Now we are embarrassed on our home field, and that's the last game we're going to play this season at home. Embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills and the Bills Mafia taking over, and it was an absolute joke. And I told you, you lose to Tennessee down the stretch, you lose at home and get swept by the Bills, it's unacceptable, inexcusable, epic failure that we lost the division after that start. But it's everything about the Miami Dolphins. It's everything we've come to expect from them. And it's everything we've come to expect from this owner, this GM, this coach, and this quarterback. And that's it. Guys, if you have not done so, please hit subscribe. At least show me some love for sitting here and keeping it real with you and talking to you after this debacle of a game. At least show me some love by hitting subscribe. Please hit subscribe. Let's get the subscribers up. We got to clear 2,000 soon. Hit subscribe. We are growing. Guys, we have memberships back available. Please consider becoming a member. You get exclusive content behind the scenes. Executive members get certain perks that other people don't get. Please consider joining. Just click become a member. Support the channel. I'm going to be going through the whole off season. Become a Fury Fan member officially. Click subscribe. Check out the memberships and join me for a live show, most likely tomorrow, and then for on Tuesday at 7 o'clock with Larry, Lucci, G, and Shake. I'll see you guys soon. Click subscribe. Fins up, man, even though it's another tough season for us fans. See you guys all soon. Good night.